It is time for my favorite part of speech, prepositions. Prepositions with squirrels. I promise you, the squirrel is important. A preposition shows the relationship between a noun or pronoun and another word in a sentence. Now, that sounds kind of vague, but prepositions tell details of direction, location, and time. So, since they add detail to a sentence, that's why they're my favorite part of speech. I love details. So here are some examples. The sounds blank a jazz band filled the kitchen. What word would you put there? I would say of. The sounds of a jazz band filled the kitchen. Of is a preposition. Next, the music was coming blank a radio. What would you say there? I would say from. The music was coming from a radio. From is also a preposition. Now, get ready because you have a lot of examples to write down. These are commonly used prepositions, the most commonly used prepositions. You're going to want to have all of these in your notes, and you probably want to memorize them too. There are lots of songs that you can use to memorize them that you can find on YouTube, or you can make your own, but I would recommend that you become as familiar as possible with this list of prepositions. Pause the video now to take some time and write these down. Alright, so we have prepositions. They're these little words that help add detail to a sentence. We can also have compound prepositions. These are prepositions that consist of more than one word. For example, jazz legend Louis Armstrong sang in addition to playing the trumpet. In addition to, all three words here are a compound preposition. Next, when jazz singers perform in a style known as scatting, they sing nonsense syllables, such as ba scoodly doo, instead of words. Instead of here is a compound preposition. Here are some commonly used compound prepositions. Please get all of these down in your notes. Pause the video now to write them down. Okay, so we use prepositions all the time, like literally almost probably in every sentence that we say. So, what would you say here in these blanks? Maybe he walked to the store. Maybe that poor puppy fell into the toilet. Maybe I gave the extras to Chelsea. And maybe I bought a horse at the auction. All of these little words are prepositions. So, here's where the squirrel comes in. This is the preposition test. Most prepositions will make sense when put into the following sentence. The squirrel ran blank the tree. You can say the squirrel ran up the tree, the squirrel ran down the tree, the squirrel ran around the tree, the squirrel ran into the tree, and all of these are prepositions. So if a word fits in that blank, the squirrel ran blank the tree, then it's probably a preposition. Now, not all prepositions fit in there, but a lot of them will. So, if you're unsure what part of speech something is, try this test and it can help you figure out if it's a preposition or not. Alright, now that we've got the basics of the prepositions themselves, let's go on to something a little more complicated. Let's look at prepositional phrases. A prepositional phrase consists of a preposition, its object, and any modifiers of the object. The object of a preposition is the noun or pronoun that follows a preposition. So it follows, it has to come after. So we have a preposition, and somewhere after it, following it, we have a noun or a pronoun that we call the object of the preposition. Now, a prepositional phrase will also include any modifiers of the object. Do you remember what the modifiers are? We have two parts of speech that modify. They're adjectives and adverbs. Prepositional phrases often express relationships of location, using prepositions by or near, direction, using to or down, or time, like before or during. Now, those aren't all the prepositions, obviously, but those are some examples to show location, direction, and time. All right, so let's look at an example and find the prepositional phrase in it. Our sentence reads, many early jazz bands played in New Orleans. So here, our preposition is in, and our object of the preposition is the noun that follows it, New Orleans. So our prepositional phrase is in New Orleans. We don't have any modifiers here, so it's just plain and simple preposition and the object to make our prepositional phrase in New Orleans. Let's look at some other examples. Here, the sounds came from a radio. Our preposition is from, and the object of the preposition following it is radio. And here we do have a little article A, and it's included in our prepositional phrase. Remember that the prepositional phrase starts with the preposition and it ends with the object of the preposition, which is a noun or a pronoun. Next, musicians travel to other large cities. Here, our preposition is to, and our next noun is all the way over here, it's cities. So cities is the object of our preposition. So our prepositional phrase is to other large cities. Now, other and large are both adjectives. They're in the middle here between the preposition and the object, so we leave them there in the prepositional phrase. In this example, we have during the 1920s, jazz swept the country. Our preposition here is during. Our noun is 1920s. So our prepositional phrase is during the 1920s. Now, a sentence may contain more than one prepositional phrase. Each preposition has its own object. For example, we listened to a solo by Louis Armstrong. Here we have the preposition to with its object solo because it's the next noun. So our first prepositional phrase is to a solo. Then our next preposition is by, and the object of the preposition by is Louis Armstrong. That's our next noun. So we have another prepositional phrase, by Louis Armstrong. You can have as many prepositional phrases in a sentence as you want. You could go on, and they just add more and more detail. All right, take a minute to, in your notes, look at the examples you have there. Do that practice work for the first part, and then we'll see how you did. All right, let's see how you did on the practice work. In each sentence, we're going to circle the preposition, underline the object of the preposition, and put the prepositional phrase in parentheses. So first, we have in number 1, in is our preposition. The squirrel ran in the tree. The next noun or pronoun is 1950s, so our first prepositional phrase is in the 1950s. Next, we have on. The squirrel ran on the tree. Our next noun or pronoun is radio, so our prepositional phrase is on the radio. That's it for number 1. In number 2, we have at, and then our next noun is technically stations. Radio is also a noun, but here it's an adjective describing the noun stations. It's telling us what type of stations we have. So our first prepositional phrase is at radio stations. Then we have another one immediately after it, across. The squirrel ran across the tree. Our next noun is country, so our next prepositional phrase is across the country. That's it for number 2. Number 3, we have the preposition by. The squirrel ran by the tree. Our noun is a proper noun, African Americans, so our prepositional phrase is by African Americans. Then we also have throughout. Throughout is our preposition, south is the object, So our prepositional phrase is throughout the South. That's it for number 3. In number 4, we have without as our preposition. This style is the object of our preposition. So our first phrase is without this style. Then we have another preposition, of. Now this is one that doesn't fit in the squirrel ran blank the tree, but remember of, because it is a very important preposition that you're going to see a lot of. So remember of. So we have of, and the object of the preposition of here is music. So our phrase is of music. And then we don't have another one until down here when we have in. The squirrel ran in the tree. The object is form, so your prepositional phrase is in the form. And finally, for number 5, we have one prepositional phrase. The preposition is in. The squirrel ran in the tree. Now here we have something unique. We have a compound object of the preposition. It's rhythm and blues. It's kind of a thing that goes together, but we have 2 nouns, rhythm and blues. But since they go together as a noun, then we consider it the object of the preposition altogether. So our prepositional phrase in number 5 is in rhythm and blues. Alright, I hope you're having fun with prepositions, my favorite part of speech. If you need any help, please talk to me before you go on to the practice page.